Welcome to Empowered Ease, the podcast where we challenge the patriarchy by inspiring women to take ownership of their health, mind, body, and soul. My name is Jen Olinger. I'm your host. I'm a holistic coach, a critical care nurse, and founder of the Moonflower Collective. Each episode, you'll hear from incredible women, healers, health practitioners, coaches, nurses, and pioneers making a difference. Together, we'll delve into their personal stories, the inspiration behind their work, and how women heal and thrive in community. Discover how by uniting our strengths and sharing our journeys, we transform not only ourselves, but the future of health and wellness. So tune in, be inspired, and empower yourself alongside our vibrant community of women. This is Empowered Ease. Let's embark on this journey of communal healing together. Hello, and welcome to the Empowered Ease podcast. Our guest today is Brooke Holland. She is a holistic nutritionist and co-founder of the Rise to Thrive Tribe. Welcome, Brooke. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. So, Brooke, it sounds like you're really into like holistic health, holistic nutrition, food is medicine, all those beautiful things. So, tell me, like where you are right now, what you're up to.
Yeah, so I am currently living in Mexico at the
Mhm.
moment, soaking up the sun. Just went for a nice little beach swim right before this.
Yeah.
And yeah, me and my partner are here together, and we're just living the nomadic life right now and working on growing our business. And we're partnered in business and life and romance and all of that good stuff. Usually we do these podcasts together, so it's nice that I get a chance to just be solo as well.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so this Rise to Thrive community, I'm curious about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so we came together, me and my partner met in October of 2023. And my background's in nutrition, and his background is more kind of in the coaching space, men's work, stuff like that, leadership. And we just came together. We met in the desert of Sedona at this magical gathering, and we just instantly like fell in love with each other, and we're playful, and everything was really surrounded by, we're doing men's work and women's work, unity work. So a lot of, connecting in that kind of space, and wellness being the foundation, and cultivating authentic connection and vulnerability and all of that. So we kind of just came together and bridged our world of expertise. So he saw my passion and excitement for nutrition and drinking superfoods and nourishing all the people at camp, sprinkling some magical potions in his cacao that I would make him every morning. And we instantly just joined life together, and we're like, let's create something. He has a background in creating programs, things like that. I've been guiding these holistic health transformations for about 5 years now. So we came together to create this community called the Rise to Thrive Tribe, and our 3 pillars are vitality, connection, and play. And so, yeah, we've kind of just been working on this project together ever since, and it's still evolving and expanding, and we have a lot of exciting things.
Is this like an in-person community? Is this like a virtual community? What kind of community is this?
Yeah, so ultimately it's online right now, but we love being in person. Like we really, that's how we met. We met in an actual community, on the land in a camp out. So we love the belly to belly interactions the most. So ultimately we want to be calling in humans that we love and that we vibe with, and then we can go out into the world and meet up, do festivals, gatherings, things like that, so that we can, share together, in person. However, because we are so connected through technology, it's like, hey, we can actually impact as many people as we really want through.
Yeah, you can really find your tribe nowadays with the internet, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So it's been fun. Yeah, and stay tuned for more.
I love that. So I read that you started off kind of working in hospitals, which it was a hospital nutritionist. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, so I can give a little background on that
I'm a nurse,
whole.
so I love it because like I
Okay.
talk to the nutritionist on the unit I'm on now. I'll like go to her with diet fads and stuff. I'm like, people are asking about this. Like, tell me what you really think. And I love her because she's like one of the most honest people. She'll be like, this is like she.
Yeah.
So I'm like, tell me about your experience there. Let's talk about the healthcare.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, so back in the day, I mean, when I was going to school and like studying nutrition, that's what I have my degree in. A lot of my education was very clinical based. And so I ended up getting a job at a hospital because I was on the path to becoming a clinical dietitian.
Mhm.
And so I needed to have the experience, and I'm so glad that I did. So I worked in the local hospital and I was doing like patient meals. So I was working for the dietitian at the time as I was studying to become a dietitian myself. So I was a dietary aide doing patient meals, putting their meals together, making sure that they got if somebody was going in for surgery, I'm not giving them food, right? Like I'm giving them their clear liquid, or, I mean, as you know, you have very specific diet needs for each individual patient in the
Mhm.
hospital. However, for me, I went to study food as medicine. Like that's what I thought I was getting into. I was more on the holistic side of things. I love movement, just connecting in nature. And I really wanted to help people before they got to the hospital,
Mhm.
preventative medicine. And
Mhm.
so for me, it was really challenging because all these people were already at this point where they were sick. And the meals that we were providing them, at least at the hospital I worked at, was just not nourishing food at
Mhm.
all. And the only difference between a cardiac patient and a regular patient was the lack of like a salt packet on their tray, or the diabetics got the sugar-free dessert, right? But we're still feeding these people highly processed foods, and it just didn't really make sense to me. So I put in
Mhm.
my time, I saw what I needed to see, and I got out of that job. But I also worked for a pediatrician. So I've kind of been in, the Western world, just dipping my toes in and going through my own health journey myself
Mhm.
through the Western lens, and learning that that really was not the way for me and how I wanted to serve people.
Mm, I love that. I think there's so for listeners who don't know this, like our current healthcare system is kind of imploding. It does very little prevention, if any, at all. Even the good people who I feel like want to do prevention just don't have the time. They're too overworked to spend real time with people. So prevention is really where it's at. And so you have to seek that on your own nowadays. And diet is a huge piece of this. So tell me a little bit about yeah, your how you came to this work.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I've been lit up about food as medicine for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I took my first nutrition class in high school. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of knew that that was the world that I wanted to be in. I guess it wasn't until, yeah, I mean, during my studies, I was also struggling with like the worst health of my life, with the stress of school and not
Mm-hmm.
sleeping, and like the college culture and partying and things like that. And I was having some pretty bad like gut dysbiosis issues. And so I was going and seeing so many different doctors. Like I said, I worked for a doctor, a pediatrician at the time, and I was just seeking answers. I got ultrasounds done, labs done, things like that, to be like, what is going on inside of my body? Meanwhile, I'm studying nutrition, and like such a paradox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quite ironic. And so I felt really let down by the Western world, and like the people that I trusted and knew, like at the office I worked for, could not give me any insight into what was going on with my body. And so it wasn't really until, I mean, I left school, a lot of the stress had a huge factor in my health. As we
Mm-hmm.
know, stress is one of the most, is the foundational piece to dis-ease. But I went to my chiropractor back home. I'm from like a small town in Northern California. And she, without me even having to say anything to her, she felt my body and was like, oh, yeah, like this is where your ileocecal valve is, which is what connects your small intestine to your large intestine, and I was just like in awe. because I'm like, I didn't even say anything. And she instantly could feel where I was having discomfort in my body, in my gut. And so she was really amazing, very well versed in nutrition and hormones and women's health and things like that. So she was a big teacher for me. And I really was propelled on a journey into my own self discovery around optimal health, what that looked like and felt like in my body. I woke up to the power of hydration, which no one teaches you anything about. It's like, we know we're made up of water, but that's about it. Not all water is created equal. And not all water is actually compatible with our cells and is actually cellularly hydrating us. So waking up to water was a very big part of my healing journey that supported my gut health. And then, I also, after school, I ended up not doing the dietetic internship route to become a dietitian. I just stopped. I dipped out. I went to India. I did my yoga teacher training. I was learning Ayurveda and things like that. And so that's when I really became more plant-based, just by being in India and eating more Ayurvedically. And then, really just switching into a more holistic lifestyle, stopping the drinking, meeting my best friend when I moved to Portland, who stopped drinking. And he was on to this whole superfood protocol that I didn't really understand. Like, I was still like, I don't know about that. Like, he was doing this whole 40-day transformation at the time. And we had just moved to Portland together. And I'm like, I want to go and experience all the food because Portland's such a foodie city. And he was doing this whole health thing, which is funny because like I am such a health person too, but I still like wanted to play and enjoy and indulge. Ultimately, the superfoods and this whole healing system that he was tapped into and putting into his body became a very integral part of my healing journey. And it took me like over a year to actually get on board with it, even though we ended up becoming roommates too. But then I started putting this high vibe, like beyond organic, bioavailable superfood nourishment in my body, and all my gut dysbiosis completely gone. And I was just like, oh my God, like my only regret is not putting this in my body sooner. And this really led me to this whole living food movement and talking about what is going on with our soil health and the monocrop chemical farming and these pesticides and chemicals like glyphosate that are completely wreaking havoc on our microbiome, causing all sorts of damage, leaky gut, autoimmune disease. And so it really led me down a whole expanded, rabbit hole of the connection of our farming practices to the chronic health epidemic that we see today.
So how are you putting that knowledge to use these days?
So this regenerative food healing system is the foundation of how we guide our holistic health and lifestyle transformation. So it is the nourishment. So that's, we plug people into this nourishment, and then they join our Rise to Thrive transformation program. And then we have a whole community support. We do bi-weekly coaching calls. We talk about different topics, holistic health, mindset, overcoming limiting beliefs. We talk about food, recipe, meals, ideas, things like that, movement, play, kind of all the elements that make up our community, which is the vitality, connection, and play. And so, we've been guiding people together for this entire year. And I've been guiding people through this transformation with just the nutrition protocols, but without the container, since 2020 is when I put this in my own body and was like, I need the world to know about this nourishment because it is completely life-changing.
So what were you saying about the water? I have, it was all new to me. So expand a little bit on what you were saying about water.
Yeah. So I woke up to water through, I don't know, are you familiar with Kangen water? So I met somebody who was talking all about, it was this business opportunity ultimately, but it was around these ionizers, these water ionizer machines. They're called Kangen water machines. And they basically ionize your water and create molecular hydrogen rich water, which is a powerful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. They're using these machines in Japan. They're made from the Japanese, and they're using them to help people heal. And so this type of water is really able to get into the matrix of our cells and start to hydrate us. And so I went down a whole watering hole when this machine, which is like a very expensive machine, and now there's so many technologies to like, you can add molecular hydrogen tablets to your water. There's other like little water bottles that you can take on the go that make molecular hydrogen. I mean, there's so many different technologies that structure the water. And then also just something as simple as adding minerals back to our water, because that's something, if we just have a good quality source of water, like a good filtered water, reverse osmosis is like super clean, super pure and filtered, but it's devoid of the minerals. So we're trying to get back to the water, like the natural flowing waters that our ancestors knew ultimately, which were structured in a certain way, and then they're rich in minerals from the earth. So it's important to at least have a baseline. You don't need like a fancy water machine. I learned that. However, it was like amazing for me and, woke me up to so much more about water and hydration in my own body. But ultimately, having a good, clean source of water and remineralizing it is so important because it adds a charge to the water, which then is compatible with the charge. It's like the ionic charge of our cells in the water. So it helps to bring that water into the matrix of our cells by just adding a good, I use this tincture called Ionic Elements. You can get a good, just mineral, like bottle of minerals that you can add, or even like a good Celtic gray sea salt, just to add to your water, add some lime, lemon, boom, like you've completely reactivated your water.
Gotcha. Interesting. I like that. I'll have to look more into that. Let's see here. So what kind of advice would you give people who are like listening and thinking like, I need to make some probably different food choices, because it's hard these days. Food's super expensive, all this craziness going on. What kind of advice would you give people? Where should they start?
Yeah, definitely. I know eating as locally and as organically as possible is such a good move, because I mean, I know that organic is not perfect either as far as like pesticide residues and things like that, but it is a step in the right direction, and it is not allowed to have glyphosate sprayed on it, which is the active ingredient found in Roundup weed killer, which is an antibiotic. So there is like, I would tell people, look up the clean 15 versus the dirty dozen. So there's 15, like each year they have a list of like the produce that's going to be, here's a clean 15. You can buy these and get away with these. Even if they're not organic, they're going to be less exposed to pesticides. The dirty dozen, those are the ones like usually strawberries, like any like berries, leafy greens, like spinach, things like that are going to be more exposed to the pesticides and have that on there. On the skins or on the fruit, on the produce. So I would say do your best to avoid the dirty dozen and to buy those ones organically when possible. And then to kind of use that as a guide to eliminate seed oils as much as you can, really to eliminate most things that are processed. If you can go into the grocery store and kind of shop around the edges of the grocery store and getting things that aren't in bags and bottles and, as much as possible, but really looking for clean ingredients where you can actually read them. If it's like some crazy word that you can't even pronounce, I'm like, well, maybe that's something that you shouldn't put in your body, so just learning to eat as, real food as possible, as whole foods as possible, eliminating like the seed oils. I'm talking like canola oil, soy oil, cottonseed oil, peanut oil, things like that. If you can really switch your oils to healthier fats, that's going to be huge for you. And then again, eating as organically as possible. And if you have access to your farmers markets, I mean, because I lived on the West Coast and in Portland, Oregon, we have like a farmers market every day of the week. So very blessed. We know that like not all of America or the world has access to amazing produce. But if you do, going to your local farmers markets, talking to your farmer, asking them about their practices, getting to know them, that their food is being grown somewhat close to you, like getting in touch with your food. And if you can, like start growing something yourself, even just as little as like an herb plant, You know, it's really like a reestablishing a healthier relationship with food. And then something that is also a great way to get more connected is to start cooking your own meals, cook with friends, with family, you know, like that has a positive impact on your health, even if it's not the healthiest thing. By just like being in community and eating food in community is going to have a positive impact on your health rather than just scarfing something down on your break that you only have 30 minutes for in the car. You know, you're not being present with it and your body's not really even having that signal to tell you like when you're full. So slowing down, being more intentional with your food, eating in community, eating as wholesomely as possible. And this might sound a little like woo-woo for people, but like blessing your food, you know, before you, when it's out in front of you, just really honoring it and thanking the land and all the elements and the hands that it took for that food to get to you. And taking a moment is something that's really powerful and super simple as well. And you don't need to be like religious or anything to do that.
Right. Just be a practice a little gratitude.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So if people want to find out more about you and what your partner are doing, where do they find you?
Yeah, you can go to my website. It is www.sunbeam-wellness.com. And you can learn more about me there and our movement and what we're doing and our Rise to Thrive transformation. And then you can find me on social media on my Instagram at sunbeam_Brookie, Brookie. And that's my personal Instagram. And then we have our Instagram for our tribe as well that you can find through my personal account. But yeah, those would be the best places to find me.
Yeah. And I always ask everyone this. So what is your go-to self-care when things are getting hard? What's the thing you do to regulate yourself?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely spending time alone doing like a meditation and journaling. Like journaling for me is so cathartic. I'm able to get so much out that's inside, you know, just getting it out into the external world is, yeah, I just love writing. So
I love that. And do you have anything planned for the future that's coming up or anything we should look for?
I mean, we are gathering a group for, I mean, I know this won't be posted till actually March, but we're always bringing people into our tribe, into our community, into a transformation, you know. So if you're looking to better your health and optimize your well-being and get connected, we're always bringing more people into our community any day, anytime. Like you are so welcome to that. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being here and sharing all the beautiful work you're doing. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Jenny. Appreciate you too.
Thanks. Thank you for tuning in today to this episode of Empowered Ease. I hope you found inspiration and insight in today's conversation. If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing or sharing the episode with someone you know who needs to hear an empowering story or would benefit from the empowering stories. You can also buy us a cup of coffee on our website, which goes a long way in editing the show and finding guests. For those of you that are looking for a little more and some support in reclaiming your energy and your joy, I invite you to explore my program called From Burnout to Blossoming, Reclaim Your Energy and Joy. It's a transformative journey that I walk you step by step through to help you rejuvenate and embrace your full potential and re-engage in the joy of life. So you can always visit my website, www.themoonflowercoachingcollective.com, and to learn more and sign up. And don't forget to join our vibrant community by subscribing to my newsletter. You'll gain access to a free supportive community and network of women tackling burnout. We regularly post and have conversations inside our private group. It's totally free. You'll also receive updates on the 2 free monthly workshops I do each month. I'm starting a chakra series currently, and we would love for you to join. Also, it'll help you stay in the loop with all the empowering initiatives that I'm doing at the Moonflower Collective and all the guests on the show, Empowered Ease. So, together we can nurture a space where women thrive. I hope you'll join us there. Until next time, continue to empower yourself and each other, and take care of yourselves, ladies.